guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 8 on DraftKings. I'm going to go over all the questions that my Twitch chat has for NFL DFS this week. We're going to talk about cash game lineups. We're going to do an underdog pick'em. We're going to go and talk about tournament plays and leverage plays and how to get off the chalk. But on cash, you should not be getting off the chalk. You should jump in the Discord because we have a great group of people who talk about the cash game lineup intensely every Friday night, Saturday night in the voice chat in Discord. You do have to be a channel member here on YouTube or a subscriber on Twitch in order to get access to those VIP rooms, but I would highly suggest it, as it'll make you a much better cash and tournament player to get into the VIP rooms in our Discord. There's a link down below. It's also through that link that we always talk about on the stream. So let's bring in the chat and let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League is posted for week 8. It is 5,000 entries. We have about half full right now. This should fill on Sunday morning. If it doesn't, they're going to make it smaller. So it's up to you to make it full. $10 to enter. Absolutely no rake. 3 max. The best tournament that exists on DraftKings. Go to smizzle.tv/links in order to find the Listener League link. This is not a lobby game. You won't find it if you log into DraftKings. Only way to get there is through my link in the link tree. You'll also find the links to basically everything else that I do. So make sure that you get in there today. Do your missions if you haven't, to collect the extra DK crowns so that you can get a little bit of rake back as well. And I will shout out the top 10 finishers on the recap video on Monday on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel. That comes out every single Monday. We go over all the stuff. So let's bring in the chat, see what questions that they have today. I see some that aren't on the board. All right, Derrick Henry in cash. I think he's fine in cash. Somebody says there are 47 cash game running backs. I agree. Like, there's just a lot. There's so many running backs out there, but I think that you kind of stick to just a couple. You know, I think that, I mean, obviously you can only play 3 of them, but like, I think that there are 2 that are very much at the core of cash games, and you should be playing that duo in cash. And then it comes down to, you know, personal preference. The quarterback is what's going to define cash this week, and I think that there are multiple routes to go as far as that's concerned, but I don't think it's a week that you're going to pay up for quarterback in cash. What quarterbacks do we feel most comfortable breaking the rules with this weekend? So I believe there are 3 quarterbacks. So like the rules, meaning this is like tournament rules, where like I believe that you should be stacking your quarterbacks with 2 of their pass catchers and bringing it back with somebody on the other team. I think that you can break those rules this week, and the guys that you can break the rules with are kind of cash game viable quarterbacks. Guys like Daniel Jones, who they are running the ball a ton, but he does not really have a lot of players to throw the ball to. The problem is like he has access to like a 30-point game where he's just not going to get 300 yards and 3 or 4 touchdowns. They don't have the talent on the outside to make that a reality for him, right? So like somebody like Daniel Jones is fine. I think that I'm not going to do that with Justin Fields, but like he's cut from the same cloth, right? I'm just not thrilled to do this with either of those 2 guys because I can pay 6,200 and get to like Tua or stack with other players that are on the slate. The one guy that I am most willing to break the rules with is the $4,000 quarterback on Indy, Sam Ehlinger, right? If I'm going to build a lineup that's for tournaments around Ehlinger, I don't need much out of him. If I can get 16, 17, 18 points with him, that opens up, like, from the Tua lineups, if you were to stack 2 and double stack 2, you're going to get very thin, right? So let's talk about that specifically. This is probably going to be the most played stack bring back on the week, right? There's going to be a lot of traffic on this, and this trio, right? There will be variations of it. You will see people go to that and then play Gesicki off of it to try to get different. Waddle, Gesicki. Some people might look for extreme value with Sherfield, but like essentially this is the trio that people are going to go with. There's your double stack and there's your bring back. That leaves you with 4,300 per player. Plug in a defense. Let's just say a $3,000 defense, just because that's right in the middle, right? Also, this is probably going to be one of the most popular defenses on the week with the Patriots D. That leaves you with 4,600. You're going to have to get super cheap somewhere. So what if can Tua have like a 25-point day and both of these guys do exceptionally well? I believe that he can. He can throw for, 2, maybe 3 touchdowns, throw for like 290 yards. Tyreek Hill can have 7-8 catches and a touchdown and a 100-yard bonus and put up 25 to 35 points. Waddle can do the same, can scoot for a long touchdown, get you 6 catches for 100 yards. And that's not a massive day for Tua. You're definitely telling yourself a story in order to be able to get there. But somebody like Ehlinger, plugged into that lineup now leaves you with a lot more money to spend somewhere else. You don't have to punt at one of these other positions, and you can afford to get a higher ceiling lineup by spending that extra 2,200 instead of on a punt play that you're hoping for 12 to 15 points. You're spending it on a mid-tier play that actually does have a 25 to 35 point ceiling. So a higher ceiling in those lineups, but obviously a lower floor, less correlation through the quarterback. This is the one place I think that you can actually break the rules this week, whether it's with a single stack, a naked stack, whatever, or just single stack or a skinny stack, or not have a bring back involving Ellinger, because I think that he can get you 16 to 18 fantasy points without really feeding a wide receiver really greatly, not having a lot of access to a 25 to 35 point game, I would assume, or at least not a high probability of one, to allow you access to a differentiated lineup while still having that massive correlation with a double stack bring back and a secondary stack throughout the rest of your lineup without having to punt off somewhere else. It is a weird week. I fully acknowledge that. That's kind of what I'm saying, right? Ellinger popping in every optimal. Yes, so Ellinger's popping in every optimal for cash games and a lot of them for tournaments, because, especially if you're not forcing stacking rules, because he's 4K. And every site right now has him projected between 15 and 17 and a half fantasy points. So his points over expectation is very high. His points per dollar is very high. There you have it. Do I like London or Algiers better in flex for a GPP? The entire pass game is redacted for the Falcons, for me. The entire pass game, they're done. I'm done with them. I drafted for the memes, for the jokes, you know, when it came to taking them in the cage match when I took Kyle Pitts. But like, seriously, guys, no more Atlanta pass game questions. Officially, Atlanta pass game redacted. If they were ever going to throw the football, if they were ever going to throw the football, it was going to be when they were down 10 or more points for 93% of their offensive snaps. But still, no, did not happen. So you know what? Bam! They're redacted. Out of here. I'm not talking about, like, I think Drake London is very, very good from a talent perspective. Obviously, you guys know that Kyle Pitts is very, very good from a talent perspective. But if they don't throw the ball more than 15 times, especially when they're down 10 plus points, when for 93% of snaps, when the hell are they going to throw the football? Now, like, they might stumble into a touchdown, but the 25 point plus games just don't seem to be there. No bring back on DJ Moore. I think Algier is fine, and he's like sub 5%. I think Algier is just fine. You know, he's going to get 15 to 25 carries against a team that has not been all that efficient at stopping running backs. They're going to force feed him. Mariota completes 8 passes. Yeah, like, let's not talk about Atlanta's pass game. If you want to play them in a tournament, if you feel like, you know what, nobody's going to play them, and Al said that they're redacted, so therefore they're going to have a big game because, you know, the guy on YouTube said a thing, so in reality the opposite is clearly going to happen. Like, okay, fine. So play whoever you want. It's just the lowest volume pass game offense ever on a site that rewards volume. That's it. Period. I'm done talking about Atlanta's pass game. Pollard in a tournament, yes or no? He's a binary decision this week. Projections have him between 30 and 35% depending on which site you have him on. No matter which projection set you're looking at, he is probably sitting between 30 and 40%, right? Wide range. I think he can come in north of that. We've seen this happen already multiple times this year. Saquon Barkley, one of the weeks where he was projected for like 25 to 27% on every site, was 45% in the Millionaire Maker. Everybody's clicking Pollard. Every single person and their mom is clicking Pollard this week. I think he is a cash game lock, and I think you're going to have to make a binary decision on him in tournaments. Most of the chalk running backs have gone off this year. No. Recently, yes. This year, no. Early in the year, all the chalk running backs failed consistently. The last 2.5 weeks, like last week specifically, the top 3 chalk running backs all smashed. So now we've got recency bias saying that all running backs that are chalk have smashed in 2022. No, last week they did. The week before they did very, very well. So like we have this recency bias that it's just happening all the time. And the big chalk running backs weeks 1, 2, 3, 4 did not smash. It was a great time to be contrarian at running back. Things just kind of ebb and flow, such is the nature of the game and variance. Do I like Michael Carter this week for GPPs and Garrett Wilson? So yes. So if Corey Davis, who is not expected to play, does not play, they have to play Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson has not been playing as much, has not been getting targeted as much. They are a low volume pass game offense, but they still throw the ball. Michael Carter is going to see a big uptick in terms of his snap count this week with Breece Hall out. Yes, they traded for James Robinson, but they are not ready to just roll him out on the field. just yet. He will play less snaps this week than possibly the rest of the season, where he might see an uptick in his snap count. I think that Michael Carter, specifically this week, will see the largest snap count that he will see the rest of the season. So I'm fine with Michael Carter as a pivot, because I believe that there are about 9 running backs that that like everybody's going to play. So the 9 running backs that everybody's going to play: Tony Pollard, Alvin Kamara, Ramondre Stevenson. I mentioned these on the show yesterday live. Raheem Mostert, Josh Jacobs, Ken Walker, Damian Pierce, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That 9 is the chalk, if you will. They're all projecting at over 15%. Every single one of them up to like 35, 40% all the way at the top. It is difficult to get different at running back this week. It's not impossible, but it is difficult because all of those players have ridiculously good matchups. All of those players have a high expectation above salary price point, right? Like they're expected to produce profit on their salary. Which defense would I start this? I mean, in cash, like whoever fits, right? You'll find a range and it's like, okay, like 2,900 for the Jets, 3,000 for the page. Like Best Buys is out. Smizzle.tv/Best Buys will take you to ESPN, where my article is. There are 3 defenses in that every single week that I believe are really good plays. Smizzle.tv/Best Buys. That'll take you right here. It's an ESPN Plus piece, comes out every single Thursday. Daily fantasy, Best Buys, stack the Dolphins. Big shock. They've been on like every cover this week. Brought to you by Al Zeidenfeld, special to ESPN Fantasy. Hey, that's me! Mostly based around cash game plays. And you can go around from there. Pollard projecting at almost 50%. Where? Where do you see that? I haven't seen him higher than 35. Hey, we know that guy. Headlock, can you check your DMs real quick? I would greatly appreciate it. So like the cash game core, right? Let's go do that. Because like I feel like the viewers of this video always like to see the cash game core that I think is the cash game core. I don't think that there is all that much to it this week. Let's start at running back. No, let's start at quarterback. Because at quarterback, I think there's multiple routes you can go. So I don't think there's a core play. I think that there are 2 people. One, people are going to go to Tua if they want to spend $6,200. If they believe that Ellinger can do enough, they're going to play Ellinger at 4K. Those are the couple of routes that people are most likely going to go. But I'm not going to put one in the cash game core because I think there are multiple routes. I think Daniel Jones is fine. I also think that Fields is fine because of how much they're running him right now. So like all those guys are kind of fine for cash. I don't think there is a standout cash game play. And I don't think that you're paying up to 8,300 for Hurts because there's too much else that you can do. At running back, I mentioned that there are 9 players. I think the 2 that stand out the most from a volume, overall volume on opportunities, volume of targets, big play possibility, touchdown expectation. These are the 2 core cash game plays. And then whatever else from that, the 7 remaining of the 9 that I mentioned, one of them is going to slide in there based on what you're looking for. At wide receiver, the core is probably starting with Moore. Moore is the core. I'm going to come up with more rhymes, but I'm not going to do it. I could totally just go full on dad right now and do every single rhyme, but I'm not going to. And then at tight end, you're paying down. Okay? At tight end, you're not paying up at tight end. There are multiples. I don't think that there is a lock play. If we have news that Darren Waller is out, I think Foster Moreau makes sense. I don't think you're going higher than Freiermuth at 3,900. I think he is the ceiling that people are going to pay in cash at tight end. I think that Moreau at 3,100 is fine. I think that Fant in the absence of DK Metcalf is fine. So I'm not plugging a core in, but this is where your cash games are starting. It's Kamara, it's Pollard, it's Moore, and then you can figure out where you want to go from there. If you want to pay up at running back, if you want to get like Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley, fine. If you want to pay up at wide receiver and get Tyreek Hill because you think that he has massive upside and a great floor, I'm fine with that too. So like you're going to pay for something because you can, especially if you go Ellinger here, and you're going to fill in the rest. And then defense is probably 3K and down. Either the Jets, the Patriots, Commanders, whatever. You'll figure out the rest, but those 3 are the cash game core. Miles Sanders seems like a hell of a GPP pivot. Yeah, he's on the list. Like I said, everybody's going to be on that 9 at running back. You know where everyone's going to be. More is the core. What a bore. Sounds like a DFS chore. Got to run to the store, and then Mike being Mike. So, like, it's going to be difficult to get very different in tournaments at running back just because there are 9 super duper options. But below those 9, it gets interesting. Guys like DeAndre Swift, Chuba Hubbard was just announced out before the stream. Last week, Deontay Foreman played 27 of 50 snaps. The Falcons are not a good defense. I'm fine if you want to go with Foreman at 5,300 as a tournament pivot. Ran for 100 yards last week. His projected ownership is low now because it has not adjusted. I think that it's clearly going to be higher than like the 0.5 that it's at. Tyler Algier, if you wanted a high volume play. Nobody's playing Jonathan Taylor at 8K this week. Nobody's playing Christian McCaffrey this week. There's ways to get different at running back. There are very, very, very smart ways to get different. And Michael Carter, also 5,900, not at that list. So, like, there's ways to pay up to be contrarian. There's ways to stay down. There's same price point pivots, all of that stuff. Labs has Pollard at 49. Yeah, these things constantly change. You know, before I went live, nobody had him above 40. So, like, people are going to change things. Maybe they just did a rerun of their projections. I don't know. With Chuba out, is there any upside to the cheap Walker Moore stack to get you higher price guys like CMC and JJ? So I like to focus on a couple of things. First and foremost, I tend to focus on scoring. Right? I know that sounds flippant, but it's not. Okay. So, like, I go over here to Fantasy Labs. You can go to the NFL tab. This is a free page. You don't need to be a subscriber. Hover over it. Scroll down to Vegas. This brings you their Vegas tab. I've sorted by the implied live totals. It's good to focus on players from high-scoring environments. So, like, teams like the Dolphins, the Eagles, Vikings, Cowboys. 24 is usually your magic number. Above 24, players tend to score over their projection more so than players playing on teams that score less than 20 or projected to score less than 24 points. It does not mean it happens 100% of the time. We're working with probabilities. So, like, if something happens, like, if they score or a greater possibility of the time, like, 65% of the time players score above their projection when they're playing on a team that has 24.5 or above, and they score 45% of the time. Like, yeah, it doesn't mean they can't score above if they're on a low projected scoring team. It just means it's harder, right? Because there's less touchdowns expected. There's less offense expected, but sometimes low totaled games kind of go bonkers. But it's a volume game on DraftKings because full PPR and bonuses can skew things. If a guy gets 100 yards, that's 3 points. That's half a touchdown. If a wide receiver or a running back gets like 9 targets where they're projected for 4, all of a sudden they're going to score a lot more points. So a guy gets like 4 catches in a 2-minute drill. That's massive, So those are the things that you're kind of targeting. Kalkuda wants to know, is Willis starting? We don't know. So Wednesday, a practice report that I don't really pay all that much attention to, right? Like, it's just like, okay, it's a thing, but I'm not like putting a lot of stock into it. Ryan Tannehill didn't practice with the ankle injury that he struggled with last week, and he came out. They retaped it. They put him back in. Maybe they gave him a shot of the happy juice, and he came back into the game, so he didn't feel it because it wasn't structural. He didn't really practice on Thursday. We've got to wait for the Friday practice report. If Willis starts, that's just another guy. That's just another running first quarterback added to the mix that has a really high floor with a really low salary expectation. Would you use Mostert with Hill or Waddle as a double stack pivot off of Pollard? Probably not. So Mostert is getting more targets this year than he's gotten in the past, right? Like, I like the targets that he's getting, but he's not getting like 6, 7, 8 targets a game, right? His season high was 5. That was last week against Pittsburgh. He's basically a 2-3 target a game guy. So if he gets it done for you, if Raheem Mostert gets it done for you, it's going to be on the ground with a long run for a touchdown and or multiples. He's not going to get it done for you by correlating with Tua. So he has a heightened floor from what he had in the past because of the 2-3 target expectation. I'm not expecting 5+ from him, right? Another guy that you would want one screen pass score. He's so fast. He looks like Action Jackson too. Paul. I don't know. Same beard. Same like pointy beard that Paul has. I like it. S Summers, thank you for the 31 months. My cover is look, you can go with him, but I would not go with him in a Hill lineup. You can use him to get off of everybody that's going to be on Tyreek Hill. You're playing it as leverage against one another, but it's not leverage in the sense that it's going to be a low percentage played player. He's going to be about 20% in tournaments. So you're playing off of chalk and onto other chalk. I definitely would not play him as he's going to be a low percentage guy, but I'm also not going to play him in it. Like, I'm not going to go Tua, Mostert, Hill. Doesn't mean it can't happen. We've seen things like that happen in the past, right? You remember the year and a half, right? That the Titans offense was just slamming, and we'd have Tannehill throw for 2 touchdowns, 270 to 320 yards, and run for a touchdown, and Derrick Henry would have 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. They were not at all correlated with one another. But just because things are not correlated with one another does not mean that they both cannot happen in the same game. It just means the team has to score 35 or 45 real life points to allot for enough touchdowns. That's 5 touchdowns between that duo that had nothing to do with one another. Everything has to break perfect for you to have Tua, a pass catcher, and Raheem go nuts in that same game. It doesn't mean it can't happen, right? It doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means the probability of it happening is low. Where can you find this shirt? I think they're out of them. This was one of the RotoWear shirts in the Al Smizzle collection a few years ago, back when we were doing the Edge. The Play All the Dudes shirt. Not sure if it's still there. If no Debo is CMS smash. We're doing first aid? CMC, I assume you mean there, but yes. CMC, damn it. CMC is the smash with Debo there. Honestly, I would rather have Debo active. I don't want Debo out for this game. I really don't. Because if Debo out, CMC catches more people on him. Because they're just, oh, Debo's out. Now they're just going to use CMC. They were going to use CMC anyway. You know? Do I think Tannehill will play? I don't know. I'm not in the building. We'll know, though. We'll probably know today. We may get that news during this show. CMS is content management. It's also a first aid kit, CMS kit. It's a field surgery kit. If you have limited GPP entries, would I fade Pollard? These are all decisions you're going to have to make. You know, you kind of would have to, like, the way that I always think about these things. Okay, this is how I think about it. Is the probability of the thing happening, right? Define whatever the thing is. So for you, how many points do you need from Pollard for you to feel happy with him in a tournament? Kind of a rhetorical question, but I know that chat's going to throw the numbers up there. 69. Lovely. Nice. 25. So what is the probability, right? There is a bell curve for this. I don't have MS Paint up. I'm not drawing a bell curve. Okay? Not doing it. But what percentage of the time in this matchup do you think Tony Pollard has 25 or more DraftKings points unacceptable? Can we get a bell curve emote? Yeah, sure. Just it's another thing that Headlock's got to do. He'll get to it like whenever he has time to get to it. So on it. See? Told you. He's got to do the thumbnail though for this. That's first. Thumbnail is prioritized over the emote of the bell curve. So without Zeke's out. So that's why we're talking about Pollard. If Zeke was in, we would not be talking about Pollard. So Pollard is the best play on the slate. Everybody knows this. Everybody's going to click him. Whatever. So on that bell curve, what percentage of the time does he ceiling? Ceiling being defined by chat as 25 or more points. Come up with that probability in your head on the probability of outcomes. If the percentage that he is going to get there, right, is lower than the percentage he is going to be played, then I don't want really to play him. If there are other ways to go, specifically. And as I said, there's 9 really good running backs this week from a points per dollar perspective. And then there's another 5 that are really solid low percentage plays based on where they're priced, other things or whatever. So like, I love Pollard this week, but I think he's coming down to those probabilistic outcomes of what percentage of the time does he get there versus what percent is the field going to play him. I would much rather play somebody that has a 25% chance in that same price range. I'd rather play somebody that has a 15% chance of scoring 25 or more DraftKings points, but is going to be 5% played than somebody who's going to be 40% played, but has a 25% chance. Because if he doesn't, what if he just has a pedestrian game? What if they throw the ball a whole lot? What if he's just not all that involved? What if he gets 18 touches, catches 2 balls, does not score a touchdown, has 95 yards from scrimmage, and has like 13 fantasy points on DraftKings? That's in the realm. That's on that bell curve. That's actually in the meat of the bell curve. That's not a floor. That's a good day. So in the case that happens, if he does not break a 50-yard run, which he certainly can't do, and that chalk fails, if he has 16 points, that chalk fails. If he has 17 points, that chalk fails when it comes to tournaments. Are there other running backs in that price point that can have 25 to 35 fantasy points? Can you put together 2 running backs that are going to get you 50 plus? And if you can, and they're going to be much lower percentage, those are the better tournament plays. This is not a knock on Pollard. I think he's a fantastic play. I honestly think that he's a binary call this week. If he's going to be 50-ish%, it's either you play him, and if he gets there, great, you better beat people at other positions. Or if he doesn't get there, all those lineups are dead. There's only 3 ways to go. You're going to fade him, you're going to hunt, you're going to lock him, or you're going to match the field. That's it. You're not saying, well, I'm going to have 12% Pollard. That doesn't do you any good, right? So like, I typically will fade high percentage running backs if they're not the only value play on the slate. Specifically in large field tournaments. Pollard 6,100, Ramondre Stevenson is 6,400. If you play one versus the other, you're going to give up a couple of points on median projection. Raheem Mostert, 5,900. You're going to give up a few points on median projection. Dameon Pierce is 6,300. You're giving up a few points on median, but you're picking up a lot of points on percentage. There's just less people on him. Pollard is a Rainmaker card that's bouncing around. Now, Rainmakers is a different story. Rainmakers is wholeheartedly 100% a way different story because nobody's that played in Rainmakers, right? Especially as you move up tiers. Rainmakers, everybody's a low percentage play. What's the data on chalk? More often than not, it fails. I mean, chalk in a tournament is different from chalk in cash. You have different expectations. If Tony Pollard scores 17 points in cash, it's fine. If Tony Pollard scores 17 points at 40% in tournaments, it's not fine. Those lineups are going to have a tough road to hoe unless they're on a double stack bring back where there's 65, 70 real life points scored and that 4 players scores you 115 to 120 points. Then it's like, well, I got to this stack and that the stack's really what matters and not the running back, right? Like last week, you could have played all the chalk running backs because they all went off. They didn't go off in cash. Cash being like 150 point target, so 3x, right? The chalk last week all went for like 100 points between those 3 chalk running backs for like less than 20K in salary. Chalk 5x last week at running back. 5x is what, is smashing in a tournament on a sliding scale, right? I need more than 5x if I'm paying lower. I need less than 5x if I'm paying for like Derrick Henry doesn't need 40 points to be a good tournament play this week. If Derrick Henry has 32 points, he's a great tournament play and it's less than 4x. But the key is to get 25 plus from all of your positions. Can you average that? And then if you catch a guy that has 40, that guy is very important. Now, if the guy that has 40 is 40% played and you don't have him, you lose. If you get 40 points from a guy that's 5%, like we did last year with Jonathan Taylor on 5 under 5 against the Bills, if you didn't have Jonathan Taylor, you weren't going to win a tournament that day. And I think in the Smiz Gang tournament, he was like 15 or 20% played that day. And in the Millionaire Maker, he was 3. Like we were on the correct play that week in particular. Let's head on over here. Let's go to Underdog Fantasy. No, I do not want to play Pick'em in London. Let's find a game. What can we go with? If you guys are new to Underdog Fantasy, you can use promo code ALSMIZZLE. That's ALSMIZZLE, and you can get up to $100 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site that you can use for Pick'em or Battle Royale or anything else that they have on the site. So they have some fantasy points ones. I don't want that. 12 fantasy points does not seem like an awful lot. DJ Moore, they already pulled the other one off. Eddie Pinero, eh? I'm not betting on Eddie Pinero. That's not happening. 62 receiving yards for DJ Moore. Let's go higher than that. 200 total yards. Screw this passing game. I want nothing to do with this passing game. I'm not going to correlate this one today. Let's go Ramondre. No. Zach Wilson. I wonder if they trade Damian Harris before the deadline. I wonder if they do that. That'll be an interesting little. I also wonder if Chase Claypool. This is the best trade deadline of all time. Let's go higher than 283 total yards there. Where else can we go? 101. Yeah, let's go higher than that. That's what we're going to do. $50 right there. 3 hires. Submit that. Confirm that. Make sure you head over to Underdog. They're awesome. Absolutely love the pick'ems on it. It's just fun. I just do it for fun. I put no time into that. As you can see, there was no research done. It was just, okay, this one, that one. I'm just gonna have some fun. You'll do better if you do more research than me. Don't just tail me. In fact, play the opposite of everything I play. Do whatever you want. Miami, Detroit, all the overs. I think I already did one for that game on the top stacks video. Any ideas on when the 100x will be available? It was available earlier this week. It was Luca. It was like Tuesday Luca. So I locked in Luca and then 4, and I got that one. I got the over on Luca, and then I bet 4 other overs for $5 to win 500. Luka Doncic. Yeah, that's where it was. How about them Lakers, huh? Lakers going with it's a bold strategy to lose all of your games and tank in the Victor Wembanyama year, but not have a first-round pick. The Lakers are tanking so that the Pels can get Wembanyama. It's very nice of them. Well done. Good job by that Lakers front office. But this is a football show, and I digress. If the Pelicans get Wemby, the rest of the league should forfeit. Maybe. We'll see. Back to football. This slate is very weird. I do have to tell you, this slate is extremely weird. Mixon 72 or Higgins 65 and DK Cash Sunday to Monday. Higgins 65. But Mixon has got a fantastic matchup going against Cleveland. What position would Luka play if he played football? Tight end or quarterback? What's the highest percentage I'd play? Okay, so I don't understand that question because it's multifaceted. Are you saying what is the highest that a player is going to be projected that I would still play them? Or are you saying in my personal allocations, what's the most I would play of a player? Because those are two different things, and I don't know which one you're asking. Who's my favorite leverage play? We're going to get to that on 5 Under 5. We'll talk about all of that on 5 Under 5, which comes out on Saturday mornings. James Conner thoughts. If he's healthy, go for it. He's not going to be played. Mooney feels too cheap at 4,800. How many opportunities is he going to get? If you're playing Mooney, he has to catch a touchdown. You're forcing a touchdown. You have to get a touchdown there because the Bears are not throwing the ball. The Bears and the Falcons are the two run heaviest teams in the league. You have 13, 14, 15, 11, 8. You're getting 10 to 15 catches a day. That's it. So yes, if Mooney catches a 40-yard touchdown, he's awesome. The possibilities for Justin Fields to complete 30 passes and give you the highest opportunity at getting a 12 target, 10 catch, he's a higher ADOT guy. So an 8 catch game with a touchdown and, 150 yards are extremely, extremely low. So I would try to target targets way more than going after somebody like Mooney in a low volume pass game. Splash, welcome to the chat. What percentage contrarian would I say is good in a tournament? I don't know what that means. What percentage contrarian? I try to stay under 130 and I force players that are under 12% into my lineup. I naturally get there through stacking. You'll notice that you will naturally get to that point if you stack. If you double stack bring back, you're going to get to differentiated lineups that not other people are going to have. Do you play DJ Moore in season long over Amon-Ra St. Brown? I'd play both of them. They're both good places. If you're just in that situation where you have Hawkinson, that's fine. I wouldn't. If you have Hawkinson in season long, you're playing him. Low end tight ends. We talked about him in the cash portion. Wow. Chat's favorite cash game wide receiver. See, we have polls that flash at the top of the chat here on Twitch. Chat's favorite cash game wide receiver was Jefferson. However, there weren't a lot of votes. There were 9 votes. Pollard over under 3.5 targets. I'll say over. Chat, there's a poll? Yeah, it was Frostbite came in with a stealth poll. He did not announce it in the chat. Anyone else like the Raiders Saints game to shoot out? They both do things that the other team doesn't defend very well. So it's entirely possible that game kind of gets there. I don't know how much it's going to shoot out because I don't have faith in the pass catchers on the Saints outside of Kamara and Olave. We've seen them have really big, really big plays. Shaheen gets a 50-yard touchdown seemingly every week at this point, and Callaway's, getting big plays every once in a while. But these are one-touch guys who just happen to break a long touchdown. On Sunday, Monday, they priced Ellinger at 5K. Prefer him or Fields in a large C. So if Ellinger was 5K, I would prefer Fields at 5,200. If Ellinger's 5K, I prefer Tua. You like Adams, Kamara, you're going to need to find value. There's plenty of value. You can go with 2 value running backs. Van Jefferson's back for the Rams at 3K. Sherfield is 3K. There's plenty of 4,500 to, Wan'Dale Robinson at 47. DJ Moore is like 52, 53. Like there's enough value. Garrett Wilson's 42. And if Corey Davis is out, then Wilson looks a lot better. I'd rather have, if you're going to have a low volume pass game offense, right? I try to avoid low volume pass game offenses, but if Davis is officially out now. Good. So if both of them are the only two guys, I like that better than if there's three. So if you're going to be a low volume pass game offense that's going to throw it 25 times, but you have 3 wide receivers splitting the market share of those low amount of targets, I like 2 better because Wilson can get 8 targets at 4,200. I'm not saying that's the median for him, but like he could get to that point. There's a poll at the top of the chat for those of you who are here asking, who is your cash game tight end this week? Would I break the rules and play Pierce and Henry in the same lineup to get off of Pollard? I'm probably not going to play both Pierce and Henry in the same lineup. I'd go somewhere else. That's not to say that both can't get there, right? That's not to say that both can't possibly get there. I think it's difficult because like Pierce is definitely getting enough volume, but I'd prefer somebody else. How's Brian Robinson done? Amazing. I think Brian Robinson's awesome. As a player, as a story, as a talent. I also want to say, is this not the best NFL trade deadline of all time? NFL trade deadline's usually boring. It's usually quite boring. Nothing happens because like teams don't, nobody trades for quarterbacks, but like all these running backs are going all over the place. Teams will trade defensive players. They'll try to pick up draft picks. But like now there's like Kamara might get traded. The Rams were second in trying to get CMC. They had offered 3 draft picks and Cam Akers. And they said, no, we'll take 4 draft picks. Shade, thank you for the $100 donated to No Kid Hungry. That's awesome, dude. I really appreciate that. We're getting closer. We're getting so much closer to the $30,000 mark and triggering the next match from me. If you do not know, we are doing a fundraiser for No Kid Hungry here on the channel. We're trying to raise $50,000 from the community. I will match $10,000 every $10,000 that you guys raise up to $50,000. The goal is $100,000 raised. That's $50K from you and $50K from me. Every single dollar helps. If you can go to smizzle.tv/charity, every donation you make is 100% tax deductible. Tiltify will handle all of the tax paperwork and send that directly to your email. Please go to smizzle.tv/charity and give to No Kid Hungry. They're trying to get school, breakfast, and lunches to food insecure kids all across the country. And I know that we are daily fantasy players. We have plenty of expendable income. If you've done well, if you just like the content, or if you just want to try to help out and give something to a good cause and be a part of something bigger than yourself, smizzle.tv/charity is the easiest way to do it. You get a little pop-up on the screen. I'll shout you out. And then, like I said, when we get to 30K, that triggers the second match from me. And then the next one would be at 50K, would get us to 60. Let's do it. Why not? We got nothing else to do. Let's do it. Fade Kyler because of Modern Warfare 2. It's hilarious. You saw that the trade happened yesterday, sending Tony to Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes tweeted out like, Modern Warfare 2 comes out and we're on a bye week. So what I'm saying is you should play Falcons double stacks. No, not. Picking up Tony and losing Chase in like 2 hours was heartbreaking. Oh, yeah, that was bad. The Chase injury just sucked. I really wanted to pick up a Jamar Chase in Rainmakers. That was like one of the things I'm like trying to angle for and find a way into a Jamar Chase, because I have 2 tickets to the live final. Wazoo! Thank you for the $10 donated to No Kid Hungry. And like, I wanted to have, and I've got a Joe Burrow legendary and I have a T Higgins. So I wanted to have a Joe Burrow double stack at the Rainmaker tier, because you got to make 5 lineups at that live final, 1 in every tier. So I was going to have, and that's going to be I don't know. Maybe if Tom Brady's such a broken man. So I was angling for, because of all the switch outs, there's the possibility that teams are going to get flexed off the main slate. So like Miami and Buffalo in week 15 are probably not going to play on the main slate. They're going to get flexed out. The Bills are Josh Allen stacks out, Tyreek Hill stacks out. So I have Viking stacks with Justin Jefferson. I was going to have Jamar Chase possibilities, and I've got Buccaneers stacks out the wazoo because Buccaneers play Cincinnati in week 15. But like, Tom Brady's a broken man. What can you do about it? Pat should definitely trade Harris. That's another one. Best trade deadline ever. Send Harris somewhere he's going to get used. Send Antonio Gibson somewhere he's going to get used. Chase Claypool might get traded. Imagine Chase Claypool on a really good offense. that throws the ball more than 5 yards past the line of scrimmage. Pats won't trade Harris. I disagree. He's an unrestricted free agent next year. The Pats are all about getting compensatory picks or getting better than that. So like if he leaves and goes somewhere else, they get a compensatory pick. If somebody offers them better than the projected compensatory pick, they're going to deal him. Running back is extremely replaceable. Claypool to the Chiefs, that would be bad. We don't want him going there. Claypool to the Bills, that would be interesting. There's a whole lot of stuff. Madison looking to be traded. I mean, I'm sure he is. Cooks to Green Bay. Anybody to the Packers. Bills have so many weapons. The best ones under center. Don't nerf Diggs. It would take nothing away from Diggs. It would take absolutely nothing away from Diggs. It would just improve their slot. Claypool is more talented than McKenzie. How big is the Chiefs receiving room? It's an arena. There's no basketball team there, so their receiving room is a basketball arena. Kareem Hunt might get traded. Yeah, like look, this trading deadline is like the best thing ever. I love it. And teams recognizing that running backs are replaceable. Like if you're a winning team, you want to bolster up that room so that you have these guys that can really do stuff in the playoffs. And I get it, but like the teams that are trading out, look what position they're trading. They're trading the replaceable position. Teams are starting to get a little smarter. Yeah, they're not trading Ramondre. They're keeping him, but they'll trade it. They're open to trading Harris. He might go somewhere. We will definitely see. No Huddle, thank you for the 15 months. CMC was movable though. It is what it is. I want them to try. I want DJ Moore to get thrown the ball, but like at least they're throwing him the ball. So I agree that keeping a wide receiver is better than keeping a running back. Where's Akers going? I don't know. They're trying. They're offering picks and Akers. Like here, we'll give you a guy that can be on the field for you. We just don't want him anymore. Here's a few picks to go with him. Give us an improvement at running back. Would I play your stars on a Brady lineup? Or I'm very confused. In Rainmakers? Oh, like you've got a full thing? I don't know. Brady didn't have a great game. That's an interesting question. You're talking about full roster type stuff. I don't know the answer. If you believe that you can cash, I would play studs to try and cash. But those are the smaller games. The full scale games, the full roster games are not as large as the other games. Like I try to attack the fiat frenzies because at the high stakes level, those are the bigger games. Or they hate Rodgers. I mean, they definitely hate Rodgers. But like DJ Moore to Seattle and a Geno MVP is imminent. Yeah, how crazy is it that whoever wins that game is in first place? The Panthers and the Falcons. Was not expecting that. And like, Arthur Smith wants to run the hell out of the football and be in first place so that he can point at everybody and say, see, I was right. I'm in first. Yeah, you're going to be in NFL purgatory for the next 8 years. Congratulations for that. So guys, it's a weird week. There's a lot of running backs in play. There's certain stacks you can go to. It's definitely a week that you can break the rules. I wish you the best of luck. Make sure that you jump in the Discord. There's a link right down below in the pinned comment to get you to the listener league. It'll also take you to the Discord. And if you join the channel and become a channel member through smizzle.tv/join, you get access to all the VIP rooms where I hang out every Sunday during the games, and everybody on our community that hangs out in that Discord. It's a partner Discord approaching 7,000 members. Talks about cash games, tournaments, all the strategies. Smizzle.tv/Discord for that. It's also available in smizzle.tv/links. And look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.